All right, we are live now on Facebook, so we can go ahead and get started. First, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're excited to have Michael Delpierre with us with Conversion Pipeline. I'm going to let him give himself an introduction, talk about what him and his company do, and then he'll get started. So thanks, Michael, and I'll turn it over.
Cool, thanks. Good morning, everybody. Got my water today, so I'll try and hydrate during this presentation. So what I wanted to do was, actually, let me take a step back. So my name is Michael Delpierre. I'm with Conversion Pipeline. We're a digital marketing agency. We've been around for a little bit over 10 years. And this is really the piggyback presentation to Shea Anario's earlier in the week, where she spoke about the science behind organic and paid social. Today, we're going to go over the science behind search engine optimization and search engine marketing, which is really more paid advertising. So if you have any questions, just start sending them away, and we'll get those answered as soon as we can. Okay, so what is SEO? What is SEM? So the easiest way to think about this is if you do a Google search organically, like the example I gave, Radford University business classes, and then you click on anything that does not say ad right next to it, that's SEO, or organic search listings, right? So really the definition, SEO by the nature involves organic really search results, anything that's not paid. The other side, when someone talks about SEM or paid ads, really what they're talking about is the paid advertising aspect of Google. So I highlighted this in red just so you can kind of see what it looks like. They're very similar, right? The only way you could tell it's a paid ad is because they have ad right next to it. That's where Google makes all their money. That kind of funds every single one of their missions that they have. So this is the biggest growth engine. So let's kind of talk about why you need it. So there's some businesses that still get by with referrals. There's some businesses that do a lot of time email marketing. And then there's businesses that understand that in order for them to grow their revenue base, that they have to spend money on SEO, organic growth, as well as paid advertising. The net of this is more sales, more leads, more conversions, higher revenue. And just to give you, just kind of put in the context of how important Google is to this, there's 67,000 searches performed on Google every second of every day, right? And typically when people conduct a search, this is kind of an important note too, is that they're looking for an answer. They're looking for a solution. They're looking for a service. And if you can get your business listed on Google towards the top, whether that's organically or through a paid ad, then guess what? That's great visibility for your business. The other thing to think about, with that many searches performed every second of every day, 95% of all the searches click on one of the links at the top of the SERP. When I say SERP, it's the search engine results pages, right? So 95% of all searchers click on the top. So if your listing is at the bottom or on page 2, chances are no one's going to click on it. You're not going to get any visibility whatsoever. And it's important to note too, is that Google is a publicly traded company, right? They have to report on revenue, and they have to show revenue growth. So guess what? There's more paid ad placements today than there was 10 years ago, for sure. And the reason for that is that's what ends up paying the bills, or all the paid ads. It kind of makes sense. Search traffic converts 10 times better than social media on desktop. And the reason why I kind of plucked this little quote out is primarily because think of when someone's on social media, you're really targeted by ads that deal with demographic-based targeting. Think of age, zip code, occupation, your likes, your interests, the clubs or the groups that you join, and some of your search history, right? Well, Google's a little bit different in that when we talk about somebody converting, we'll talk about this in the slide, probably a couple slides down, but that means someone's going to pick up, they see an ad, or they see an ad on Facebook or on Google. They click on the ad, they get to the website, they call, they fill out a contact form, they purchase, right? A typical conversion. Well, search traffic in Google performs 10 times better than social media. And why is that? It's because when I am looking for a plumber for my house, right? I've got water in my kitchen, guess what? I'm going to do a quick search on Google. I'm not going to go to Facebook to do the search, right? plumbers near me. And chances are I'm going to call. I'm not going to send an email, right? So there's higher conversion rates on Google than there would be on social media. Not to say that paid social media is not important, it is, but when someone's looking for something specific, they by default go to Google. Going back in terms of the placement of the ads, as well as the placement of your organic listing on the first page of Google, the first position of the search engine results pages collects around 30% of the clicks. That's pretty huge, right? The second position gets 50%, the third gets 10%, then guess what? Everything just drops off after that. So unless your website, your business website is really on the top of the fold of the Google search results page, right? No one's gonna click on it. Or if they do, it may be 2%, 3%, 5%. So it really is a huge difference of where your business is positioned on Google search results. So SEO statistics. Again, talking about organic search, right? So if you look at this, over a 2-year period, there was 900% growth for mobile searches, okay, for anything near me. So think about it, when you're on your mobile phone and you're looking for something, right? Let's say pizza near me, right? By default, Google is going to serve you ads based upon the IP address of your device, right? So if you're on your mobile phone, it knows exactly where you are. It's going to serve you pizza restaurants by your IP address, right? Even if you just said pizza restaurants. But a lot of people don't know that. So a lot of times what they do is they'll search for pizza restaurants near me or plumbers near me, right? Or anything near me. So again, the reason why that's such a huge growth is because people are looking for something very specific, and they want something very specific close to their geographic location. And that's what we call local SEO, right? It's like, how can we rank our businesses for these organic keyword search terms? Now let's talk a little bit about mobile SEO, because I kind of gave you that example with mobile. Mobile has far surpassed desktop from searches. It just has, in a very fast time frame. 60% of all smartphone users have contacted a business directly using the search results as a click-to-call option. So let's talk about this. So if you do a mobile search, you can do one now on your mobile phone, right? For whatever, again, let's use the plumbers as an example. You should be able to see a phone number associated with an ad. And the reason why you can see a phone number associated with the ad is that Google knows on your mobile phone, you don't want to fill out the contact form. What you want to do is click to call. So guess what they've done is that they've enabled click to call options on all paid ads. That's incredibly important. So that's something to think about too when you look at your overall strategy of how I can get my company positioned towards the top. Now, when we talk about mobile SEO, again, non-paid, having your phone number positioned on your website in the upper right-hand side on your mobile device is incredibly important. I can't tell you how many times we look at websites and they bury the phone number on the contact page, or they bury the phone number in the footer, right? On your mobile device, again, you're not going to search for that phone number. If it's not front and center, upper right-hand side, guess what? They're not going to find it, which means that you're going to be getting less calls. That's incredibly important. Some more stats. Results on the first page of Google, the top 10, receive 92% of all search traffic on Google. Again, kind of reiterates, right? If you're not on the first page of Google towards the top, people aren't going to be clicking. 33% of all organic search results go on the very first listing of Google. So 33% of the clicks, right? Why isn't it higher? That's really the part that we should be looking at. One of the reasons why it's not higher is because there's more paid ads. Depending upon your industry, expect to see 4 paid ads at the top and 2 or 3 paid ads at the bottom, and sometimes you'll see paid ads on the map itself. So again, it's incredibly important to get your business listed organically. It's also equally as important to have a paid advertising strategy. When we talk about SEO, it's also important to note of, okay, what are other people doing in my industry? And I just pulled this from HubSpot. I thought it was a pretty good stat, is that 63% of all marketers are actively investing in SEO, right? This is really important in that typically your competition right now is doing something regarding increasing their online visibility for the business. Think of content marketing, right? Active link building, putting your website in many directories. And we'll kind of go over kind of the science behind SEO in a second. SEM statistics are paid advertising stats, right? Mobile advertising spend is expected to surpass $280 billion by 2022. All that's saying really at the end of the day is as there's more people spending money on paid advertising, and Google is by far the biggest paid advertising behemoth, and they're going to get the lion's share of those ad dollars. When we talk about what's an ROI, I'll get into that towards the tail end of this conversation. And this is something that Google publishes on their website, so take it with a grain of salt, right? Because obviously they're biased. But Google's saying that for every dollar spent on Google AdWords, a business can earn an average of $2. And that's a pretty good ROI. The other thing to kind of think about too is that, again, a lot of this is catered more towards mobile. The reason being, again, is because more people searching on mobile than any other type of device. 82% of smartphone users are actively searching for businesses near them, right? Companies who do both SEO and SEM benefit the most. So if there's one thing you're going to take away from this little presentation I've given today is that you kind of need to do both. You need to do organic SEO and SEM if you are a business. That's the best way to increase your businesses and your website's online visibility. Oops. All right, here we go. So SEO revenue growth. So there were two slides here. What I really wanted to do is just kind of show you over the course of time of two separate customers, right? And how their graphs have kind of almost mirrored each other from a growth standpoint. And graph number one really talks about more of a revenue standpoint. And if you look at the light blue number right here, you can see where they started doing SEO to really picked up steam. And you see the growth right now, right, is over towards close to all their users. So their revenue is ever doubled within a year due to organic SEO growth. And that's how important it is financially for a business from a revenue standpoint that they can benefit from, right? Completely different customer, different industry whatsoever. You could see where this customer was in a different marketplace, where we started tracking revenue back in 17. And then you could see it really started ramping up really towards, I would say towards the middle of 18, going into 19, right? So organic, and we'll talk about ROI, but organic is incredibly important for a lot of different things when we're talking about your marketing mix and we're talking about how to increase your revenue. And there's ways to track this in Google Analytics that I'll kind of go over towards the tail end of this presentation. You are able to track revenue growth and really the channels, paid channels, social media, organic, etc. I thought this was kind of important just to note. SEM growth, paid advertising growth. So if somebody was to come to me today and say, hey, I really need a lot of leads tomorrow, what can I do? SEO is going to take a lot longer to implement and to reap the benefits from than from paid ads. You could essentially call somebody today, we can implement a campaign today, and your ads could be running by this afternoon, right? It's literally that fast that you could do. And if your ads are running, guess what? You can start getting leads. Assuming you're bidding on good keywords, you have good ads, you're taking them to the right landing pages, and you have the right Google Analytics set up, right? But let's assume in the perfect world, all those things are already implemented or can be implemented in the short time frame, right? You can achieve very strong paid advertising revenue growth. And I really think the bottom one kind of outlines what's really important. So we had this client, again, they had a good revenue stream. It was fine. They really want to grow it. And then as you could see, really towards the tail end of November, we started launching paid ads. And then you can really see the revenue just spike up from that, right? And again, you can achieve this through paid ads in a lot shorter time frame than you can organic search. So SEO, there's more than 3.5 billion searches are made every day on Google, right? And a company that holds over 85% of the desktop search engine market share. that's Google, right? So Google, if somebody was to say, what's the percentage market share? I've heard 80, I've heard 90%. It's let's put it this way, it's definitely average 75%. So let's talk about how you can rank your business. Let me phrase it this way. What are the Google search algorithms that could help you rank towards the top of Google, right? So depending upon who you talk to, there's over 200 ranking variables that deals with Google's algorithm, right? So let's look at your website. There's many components to your website. The one is the content on your website, how often it's updated, how many words a web page has, your title tags, your meta descriptions, how many other websites link back to it, how many other relevant websites link back to it, right? There's a lot of variables that kind of goes into where your website ranks within the search engine result pages, right? And then what Google does is it goes out and crawls every single web page that's out there and then says, okay, here's a new page. Let me decide where to rank this across all these different variables, whether it's 100, 200, 300 variables, it changes constantly all the time. And these algorithms change on a monthly basis. The reason being, people try and game the system all the time. People think they have the secret sauce, they don't. Google does a very good job in trying to keep a level playing field across all the websites, right? From a search ranking perspective. Let me kind of go to the next one and try and give you some examples. So here's some of the more technical detail of how your website can rank, okay? Or how do you get your website to rank higher in Google? When we talk about something that's on page on the website, I already mentioned content. I already mentioned your structure, your title tags, your meta description. You want to make sure each image on your website has an alt tag, something that's descriptive. You also want to make sure that the words that you're using on your website is what people are searching for. And I think this is probably one of the more important things that even a lot of SEO agencies kind of overlook, right? Is doing that necessary keyword research up front, right? And the important thing is that, okay, I may call my product X, but what are people searching for right now to get to my website and to get to my product to purchase, right? They can be completely two different things. I've seen people in the medical industry use the technical terminology for a service, and versus the people that are doing the searches use something completely different, right? So what we need to do is come up with the research first and say, okay, these are the keywords we know we want to rank our website, right? Our website to rank for, right? And then we want to take those keywords and implement that on the website. Body copy, headers, titles, metas, alt tags, so on and so forth. How you interlink within your website is incredibly important. This is what we call on page, right? And I kind of get into it from the website structure standpoint. Something else to think about too is social signals. Most businesses today have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social media profiles. And that's important. And the reason why that's important is one of the ranking algorithms that Google has, they call it social media signals, right? How active a business is on these platforms and how many people mention them on these platforms is incredibly important. The reason why is that outside of relevancy, which is highly important, right? You want your website to be relevant to what you're selling or what service you're offering. You also want to make sure that you have the authority. And one of the authoritative factors is social media. How many people are talking about your brand or talking about your product or service and linking back to your website? So when we talk about some of the ranking factors, you have to throw in your social media signals. So that's incredibly important. One of the things that we get asked all the time is, hey, I have content, but I kind of took it off another website. And we're like, you can't do that. The content that you put on your website has to be unique and relevant, right? It needs to be fresh, right? Taking content off another website, you can actually be penalized for that. That's called duplicate content. You need to make sure the content that you place and you update on a monthly basis is unique content. That's incredibly important. I can't stress that enough. And if you were to say, okay, I have a small SEO budget, what should I focus on? I would say generating great relevant content, Google rewards websites that have got great content. That is probably one of the more highly measured ranking variables within its algorithm is unique content. There's other critical factors that kind of goes into the on page. If you ever notice, if you go to your browser right now, if you go to any website, whether it's a retailer or a service website, they should have the little lock on the left-hand side, okay? That lock represents a secure website. It's called HTTPS. Probably about a year and a half ago, it may be closer to 2 years now, Google said that if you convert your website to HTTPS, you will get rewarded organically. And they did do that. And then you will see websites today that don't have HTTPS, they will get penalized in search. Why is that? HTTPS means that if somebody goes into the website, right, they won't be able to steal certain personal identifiable data, okay? Again, we're not really talking about e-commerce here, but just think about it this way: contact form submissions, things of this nature. HTTPS is incredibly important for to fighting spam. That's really the biggest reason, right? If you think about it, a lot of it is based upon spam. Page speed, this is crucial. We have some clients that come on board and they got a beautiful website. The first thing that we do is to say, okay, outside of making sure that they have Google Analytics, how fast does the web page load, okay? And if we think about it, we measure a website based on how long it loads on our desktop or laptop browser. You can't look at it that way, right? You have to look at the one variable that takes a little bit longer to load, and that's your mobile phone, right? Mobile page speed is incredibly important. You can actually Google, I think it's called Google Page Insights. There's a page speed, it's free. You can go in and measure how fast your website's page loads. It's incredibly important. You can have great content, you can have great imagery, you can have great everything on your website, you've done your SEO right, but if your web page loads 10 seconds longer, guess what? You're kind of cheating yourself. And that's because Google's not going to serve a website that takes 10 plus seconds to load, because it's going to yield to a bad end user experience, and it doesn't want to do that. How friendly your website is, how mobile friendly it is incredibly important. Again, by default, we always look at the desktop or laptop view of a website, but how does it look in mobile? And what you see a lot of times is that you'll get a completely different website, or the website, you have to just enlarge the boxes. It's hard to read, it's hard to click. Mobile friendliness is also incredibly important as well. Other factors, how long or how old your website domain is, right? What's the authority of that domain? Optimized content, we already kind of spoke about that before. And there's other technical aspects of SEO, and this really kind of gets more of the off page that we're talking about. And think about this: how many links can you get back to your website? Relevant links. I'll give you a great example. I used the word plumber before, so let's kind of take that for a plumber's website, right? A plumber's website wants to get backlinks going back to their website. So think about, okay, what's a relevant backlink to get? Other businesses, maybe plumbing supply companies, other local backlinks, right? And what a backlink is think of it this way. You have like your local news website, right? And they have an article. And in that article, they link back to your website, right? That's called a backlink. But some backlinks have a higher weight than others. So let's say you're a Radford plumber, right? You want that link going back to your website to state Radford plumber. That's called anchor text. The more descriptive of that anchor text is to what that page is about, right? You're going to get what they call link juice. Again, a higher authority level of that backlink. And then there's a whole other bunch of criteria, but backlinks is something that is classified under technical SEO. That's incredibly important. Outside your content, outside your structure, outside how long it takes your web page to load, backlinking is still one of the most important things. And this is also one of the variables that is very commonly overlooked, and it shouldn't be, okay? Business information. Look, this is also incredibly important. Google, Yahoo, the other search engines came out many, many, many years ago. And they said that, you know what, we need to be able to understand a business is who they say they are. So one of the ways that they do this is they add schema tags on the website. So think name, address, phone number. They want your name, address, phone number to follow a certain route. You want your name. Does it have LLC at the end? Does it not have LLC at the end? We want it to be consistent across the boards, not only on your website, but in other relevant business directories. This is another aspect of technical SEO. And really, this is just really kind of scratching the surface, but I thought it was important to note at least kind of the high level. What are some of the ranking factors to get on the first page of Google? Now let's talk about the paid side. So the paid side is completely different than organic, because you could just buy your way towards the top, right? And you still get a lot of businesses that do this. And of course, the businesses with it seems like almost unlimited budget are at the top more than the ones that don't, right? So there's a lot of different variables within paid advertising or search engine marketing, right? Think of the Google ads that we kind of went over, and I showed you that example, the one highlighted in red and the one that has ad right next to it. There's also those ads that follow you around for 30 days, right? Let's say you just went on a website, you're looking at whatever, pair of shoes, clothing, a new set of golf clubs, right? A bike. And then you leave, then you go to another website, then you see that same product on that website. That's called remarketing or retargeting. Highly effective. It's there to get you going back to that website to purchase, or back to that website to call, or back to that website and fill out the contact form, right? And there's a lot of variables that go into this, but remarketing is huge. And that uses what's called the display network, right? I'll show you an example later that uses the Google display network that kind of hit me, that I thought it was kind of relevant for this presentation. You're also able to target users through paid advertising, right, based upon their IP address. And I'll give you a great example. This is called geofencing. Great technology, highly effective. It's great for retailers. It's great for targeting specific entities, right? And I'll give you a couple examples here. If you have a mobile phone, obviously, and you have Starbucks loaded on the app, if you drive by or walk by that Starbucks, you're gonna get a little Starbucks ad that says, hey, come and enjoy 15% off, or today is, they have some sort of promotion going on, or it's hot outside, wouldn't it be better with iced coffee, something like this, right? That's geofencing. It knows the IP address of your mobile device. In their case, they use a mobile app for that. But you could do this without the mobile app. And I'll kind of dive a little bit deeper in a couple more examples, but that's called geofence targeting. Great for retailers. Other types of basic keyword search targeting utilizes the Google Display Network and other more native networks as well too. So think about this. You're doing a search and you're looking for new golf clubs, right? So you go to Callaway's website, you go to Ping's website, you go to a couple different golf websites. Well, now you're tagged as somebody that has a golf interest, okay? So now advertisers can start targeting you specific golf-related ads because it knows you're a golfer, right? And in certain cases, depending upon the websites that you go to and what you're searching for, it knows that you're looking to buy golf clubs. And guess what? You're going to start getting more ads for, golf clubs for sale, new golf products, things of this nature, right? That really falls more in the line of behavioral targeting, right? You can also target somebody by age, by gender, by interest, by education, by household income, just about anything for behavioral targeting. And it works extremely well. If you set it up right, you can be highly effective and you can get product purchases, you can get leads, and you can get people to call. Again, display network, that's behavioral targeting. Completely different than search because I don't have to physically type in, golf clubs for sale, right? I go straight to these golf manufacturer websites and it knows I'm looking for golf clubs. Another example. To reiterate kind of what I spoke about earlier for paid ads, this is within Google. The same thing goes with Bing as well. Google owns 71% of the overall search market share, right? From a paid ads perspective, right? That's a huge stat right there. And paid ads convert 50% better than organic ads. Well, why is that? okay? So let's look at my example here. I typed into Google, best business school in Virginia, right? The first thing that I see is William and Mary. The second one is UVA Darden School, right? Well, if this marketing agency or if this internal agency did this right, what they would have done is, okay, create a separate ad group for best business school in Virginia. That should have been the #1 thing right here, best business school in Virginia, right? The headline message. And then they put in exactly their credentials and everything else. So, what differentiates this, the UVA, versus actually this, it looks like the Mason School, I guess that's what it's called. A couple factors. One, the top ad may be paying more than the bottom ad. That's kind of the obvious one, but it may not be, right? If the top ad has a better click-through rate, which is the amount of impressions to clicks, if the top ad has a better ad quality score, and a lot of other variables, they could actually be paying less than the second, third, or fourth plus ad. There's a lot of variables, but looking at paid advertising as a whole, the keywords that are triggered in search are going to trigger these ads, right? Whatever you type in here, you should receive relevant ads. That's why paid ads convert 50% better than organic. Makes sense. Let's talk about Google Shopping. Then we'll kind of get into Amazon because I think this is important too. So for the businesses that are selling a product online on their website, right? You don't only have to advertise on Amazon. That seems to be the de facto standard, but you don't have to do that. You can also enroll your business in Google Shopping. So again, I'm looking for Cannondale mountain bike. I typed that in, was the first thing that I see, Cannondale mountain bikes, as well as some other competitors to this. So you give Google a lot of leeway here in this top spot. It knows that you have a bike. It knows your product name is a Cannondale bike, right? But it's also going to show other relevant ads it thinks may also interest you, such as this Schwinn or this GT, right? And if you see here, wide range of pricing from $279 all the way up to $780, right? But this is called Google Shopping, and this is highly effective. If you have a product, you should have your business and your product listed on Google Shopping. Amazon. Okay, look, most people have an Amazon account. Even if you don't have an Amazon account, chances are you've probably been to Amazon looking for a product to purchase, right? And by default, not every product that you're searching for has an ad. But what I want to do is kind of show you something. I was looking for my son. He was looking for a pair of trunks, right? So you could see the ad right here. It's kind of segmented away from the other swim trunks right here. It's kind of just kind of front in your face. The reason being is that it says sponsored by Canoe Surf Swimwear. This right here is a paid placement. So not only when you list your products on Amazon, do you have to give them a percentage of every product sold, then you have to give them money to fulfill the order if they do fulfillment and shipping. You also have to pay extra for your swim trunks. I'm sorry, for the paid ads for these swim trunks. That can eat away at your margins really, really, really fast, right? So not everybody engages in Amazon paid ads or sponsored ads, as they call them. But I thought this was kind of relevant simply because I recently just did the search and I'm still getting targeted because it knows I'm actively looking for swim trunks for my son. All right, remarketing. Remember I told you about that article, about that example of remarketing, how I got hit. So I'm looking for cars. My car's really old, and my kids were talking about, hey, you should look at that Jeep Gladiator. So I went to the Jeep website. Well, guess what's following me around now? I probably get hit at least 2, 3, 4 times based upon where I go with Jeep ads. And again, this is really more generic than anything else. But you can actually create a remarketing ad for each one of your services, for each one of your products, right? Highly effective and very targeted. It knows I'm looking for Jeep right now. It knows I went to the website, okay? Let me give you this example. Let's say I'm looking for Jeeps, but I don't go to the Jeep website, right? Let's say I'm going to CarMax. I'm looking at Jeeps online. Let's say I'm going to Jeep forums. Let's say I'm doing random searches for, Jeeps near me things of this nature, but I don't actually go to the Jeep website. Jeep by themselves could use behavioral targeting to target me with the ads, even though I never went to their website. So that wouldn't be called remarketing. That's really targeted more on the behavioral side. It's really targeting custom search intent. And that's, again, highly effective. All right, so geofencing. I kind of shared with you the example of Starbucks, right? So I took a screenshot. We miss you too, order ahead for 25, bonus stars through 5/31. So they're really good of getting consumers back in their stores to buy coffee, right? And one of the ways that they do this is through geofencing, okay? Again, if you're a retailer, you could do this. Anytime somebody walks into your store, even if it's just carry out, right? If you're a restaurant, carry out, that's great. Every time they walk in the store, you have that IP address, you can serve that user an ad, whether it's, thank you for your purchase, hope to see you again soon, or hey, sign up online and get 10% off, or target that user in 2 weeks. Hey, we have a new special right on their mobile device. That's called geofencing. Works extremely effective. We've had customers that have deployed this for event targeting, right? Targeting users who are attending a specific event. Back in the days of conferences, we would have clients that know that they were attending like a 2 or 3 day conference in a specific hotel or a convention center. We would use geofencing to put a line or an outline right around that building. And we would target every single mobile device entering into that convention area with a message, please visit us at, at booth 34, something like this. It drove a lot of traffic to that booth through that type of a target. Event targeting is highly effective. Customer loyalty, Starbucks, great example right there, right? It's saying, hey, we miss you, come in, you get extra bonus stars. Awesome. We have some clients that target their competitor locations. Great example, jewelry store, especially when it gets right around sort of wedding season. You will see them take out a ton of ads. But what they'll do is they'll also target their competitors. So if jewelry store A takes an ad out and says, anytime somebody walks into this other competitor across town, I want those mobile devices to get hit with ads for my products. So when they click on it, they get back to my website. Highly effective, target competitors, as well as custom audiences, right? Target by behaviors. You could target by people walking by your store and have reached certain criteria. You have a lot of options with geofencing. The one cool thing about this is not everyone's deploying geofencing. There's a lot of people doing traditional Google paid ads. They may do Facebook, Instagram paid ads, but you don't see a lot of people doing geofencing. That makes it even more appealing because now you kind of have an edge or an angle on targeting your users specifically. So conversion tracking. I probably should have put this first because, to be honest with you, if you don't have analytics set up, if you're not tracking conversions, I definitely don't recommend spending money on paid advertising because you won't be able to gauge how successful or unsuccessful you are. So if you're a business, chances are you have Google Analytics. If you don't, you need to install Google Analytics. And then the next thing that's incredibly important is making sure that you're tracking conversions, okay? And what is a conversion? I think I briefly mentioned this earlier. If someone goes to your website and they call you from your website, it would be beneficial for most businesses to know the source of that phone call. Like, how did they get to the website? Did they click on a paid ad? Were they referral from Facebook, LinkedIn? Was it organically? Was it from Yelp? Where am I getting all these phone calls? You could do that through call tracking. And we can measure this in Google Analytics as a conversion goal. That's just one. Let's think of contact form submissions, right? Most websites have got contact forms all over the website. If not, then they should. But it would be important to note where these users, where these users came from to fill out that contact form, right? Where they refer to us from the Washington Post. Did they come from Google paid or Facebook paid or whatever the case may be? We want to use that contact form as a conversion goal. Product purchases, same thing. We want to know exactly for every product that was purchased, what's the source of that? Because marketers are able to reallocate their funds accordingly. in the example that I kind of shared you here, and this is kind of like the power of running paid ads. For this one customer, they spent $20,000 over this time frame, right, on paid ads, but the revenue that they got out of it was $157,000, right? You wouldn't know that unless you would have conversion tracking set up, and that's how important it is, right? If you're running revenue through your website, you have to have the right conversion goals. I've seen businesses that have got 15 conversion goals and not a single one is tied to leads and not a single one is tied to revenue. It's also important to have the right conversion goals as well too. And really the biggest reason why you do this is to determine return on investment, right? If I'm spending X, what can I expect my return to be? You can't do that without having some form of historical data, right? To know exactly for every dollar spent, what's my revenue? What's my revenue goal from that? Oops. Sorry about that. Hold on a second, guys. All right, cool. Sorry about that. Conversion goals. Again, kind of reiterate this. In the graph, I thought this was kind of cool, right? And it kind of shows you could track revenue from different buckets that you have. So when you think about this one account, actually, hold on a second. Don't know why it's doing that. Okay, hopefully you guys can still see my screen. So I mentioned here the revenue goals, e-commerce purchases, contact forms. You could even run conversion goals for chat, button clicks, phone clicks, everything else. But it's also good once you have the proper conversion goals set up, depending upon the right channel of your traffic, right? Organic, paid, direct, social, etc. You can then equate to the revenue that you're getting from each channel. Again, it's important because it's going to tell you where you should allocate your money and your time and your resources, right? So this is one way that we kind of want to look at this is take money aside from this from right now, spending money in marketing. You also want to know is, where should I spend my time, right? If I'm spending 2-3 times a day working on social media, what's my ROI, right? Versus me spending however many hundreds or thousands of dollars that you want to spend on paid advertising, right? So use conversion tracking as a way to kind of focus your efforts on getting more revenue and the right revenue channels or the right channels that you want to focus on. I think that's incredibly important. That's it. Do you want to just open up to some questions?
Yes, we'll go ahead and open up to some questions if you guys have some. I know I see a couple here, so I'm just going to start asking, and then we'll just keep going until we run out of questions.
Great.
I don't remember exactly what you were talking about when this question was asked, but the question was, how do Vanity Links affect this?
So that would be a question regarding SEO. So if we use like a vanity link, there's really no, the benefit of a vanity link is that it's better for like print advertising. I see a lot of people do it on regular advertising too. Some businesses have their normal website and they have 3 or 4 different vanity links that they run separate paid advertising to. When we talk about organic SEO, you're only as good as the quality of that website. If it's just a link by itself, there's no SEO value whatsoever. If you want to take an ad out on a newspaper and you want something that's easy and catchy, something very easy to remember, that's when you use a vanity link that's going to redirect to your main website. But use it more as an advertising strategy, not necessarily from a organic SEO benefit, because there really is none.
Okay. Shay asked, how do you determine how much to actually invest in the hard cost dollars for Google or other search engines? Is it industry dependent?
You know, the funny thing is during her presentation, I took it easy on her, but now she's going to try and ask these questions. So that's funny, Shay. So let's talk about how to determine your cost allocation, right? Like where should you spend your money? That last slide that I kind of went over where we talked about the different channels, right? That's going to tell you where you should spend your money. I mean, think about it this way. If you have a $2,000 budget, right? And it's a client that's never done paid advertising before, right? And we think that, you know what, we could target their users or their intended audience on Facebook and Instagram, and we can also target them on Google search, right? The first month, you may want to do a 50-50 split. You may want to see what I can get from those users on Facebook and Instagram and what I can get from those users on Google paid search, right? And then throughout that month, you're going to know, hey, I'm getting more leads from Facebook. Then guess what? You should reallocate those funds towards Facebook. If you get more leads throughout that month on Google, then you can reallocate those funds towards Google paid search, right? So, and again, how you're able to kind of justify your spend and know how to reallocate is setting up the right conversion goals, right? Are you able to track revenue? Are you able to track phone calls? Are you able to track contact form fills? Are you able to track chat sessions? All these things. And let the data tell you where you should reallocate your budget accordingly. That's probably the best. That's my biggest piece of advice that you should do for every business.
Awesome. So how did you get involved in this business? And then there was a second question that pretty much went with it. What made you start your own business?
Great question. So look, when I went to Radford and I graduated in '96, I was a criminal justice major, right? Completely just, it didn't make any sense, right? I was in criminal justice. How the hell did you get to marketing? So I got into this. I kind of stumbled into it, to be honest with you. After college, came up Northern Virginia, got in IT sales, went really well until the bubble burst, and it was, you know, it got ugly there for a little bit. But I knew I kind of wanted to do something different out of sales. So I eased my way into marketing, into product marketing, and that later became digital marketing. And that's where I really loved. It's kind of like a big puzzle piece. If you think about it, that's the way I look at marketing is that, okay, I know what my objective is, right? To increase revenue or to increase more leads. So sales can close more business to increase revenue, right? It's always about the revenue. So I use marketing as a way that kind of enables all these things. So it's like a big puzzle piece, right? How much time do I spend on content marketing? How much time do I spend on paid ads and on which channel? So I really got into that. And I thought that was kind of interesting with the way that my kind of brain thinks is that, you know, how creative can we get? What can we do that's different today just to test it, right? To see if we get more revenue. A lot of times what we do is when we talk with clients or even internally is, hey, let's A/B split test this, right? Let's split test the messaging. How do we know what's going to resonate better with the user? How do we know what remarketing image is going to resonate better with the user? We won't know until we try. So what we do is we run split tests. Stuff like that, I really enjoyed. I thought it was kind of really cool. And everything you could track back through data, right? The data doesn't lie. You know exactly for your efforts what the ROI is, right? What the return is. And I thought that was always kind of cool. How I got it started my business. So I ended up working for a friend of mine who had a marketing agency. And after a couple of years, we decided to part ways. He wanted to go one way, and I was a low man on the totem pole. I decided to go another way. So then I said, you know what, this is kind of what I want to focus on, which is really more on the digital side, SEO and SEM, paid advertising management. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. So I just said, you know what, I could live off my savings for a year. Let's start my company. So I convinced actually another fraternity brother and another guy that I worked with in sales at a company. Said, guys, just here's my vision. They agreed. Said, let's do it. And then we kind of just jumped in with no revenue. So it was kind of scary. For a period of time, it was real scary, right? Because you'd see your savings kind of deplete really fast over time. But that's how it started. And to be honest with you, I learned this along the way. Like I'm a criminal justice major, right? They didn't teach any of this in school. They definitely didn't teach any of this in school back then. I don't know what they do now, but I can tell you that a lot of this is self-taught. And you could tell the people, the newer members that we bring on board or through internships that have, you know, a digital marketing background, you could tell the people that know the book side versus the people that actually are doing the work, right? Because you have two different ideologies completely. And that's interesting. So if this is something that interests you, just dive right in. I mean, there's places you can get to learn about SEO. There's Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Land. You can go to moz.com. There's a bunch of great websites. If you want to learn about paid advertising, I think Google, you can take free classes to learn Google Analytics. You can take free classes that talks about Google Ads. So there's a lot of free resources. If this would kind of interest you, you can just do it.
What kind of advice would you give to either current students or recent grads that have just kind of graduated into obviously this tough job market? What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, it's the same thing I'm telling my kids. I have a rising senior right now at Christopher Newport. It's the same thing what we're telling him. It's like, listen, you need to get as much working experience as you can. So when you get out, they're gonna say, okay, this guy at college, but man, he's worked at this company, interned at this company, he's done some work at this company. He's going to come with a skill set. It's get as much experience under your belt as possible. Like it's an internship, whether it's paid or unpaid, it doesn't matter. I mean, I could tell you by the time you leave, if you go to work for a good internship, right, they'll make you get certifications, right? We've made people say, you know what, you want to come work with us, fine. You have to be Google Analytics certified. Take these courses and then they're at Google Analytics certified. If you want to learn paid advertising, you have to get Google Paid Ad certified. You have to go take these certifications, right? And by doing so, they just build up their kind of war chest of skills, right? Same thing with CRMs. You have to learn some type of a CRM, like Salesforce, HubSpot, these other type of CRMs. That's incredibly important because if I'm a hiring manager and I need to hire a new marketing analyst, I'm going to hire the one that's already Google Analytics certified, already Google Ads certified, knows HubSpot, and can look at analytics. Because that's less training I have to do. So use this time of you can't find a job right away, fine, right? It is what it is. Take these free online classes and become certified in as many things as you can. And to me, I think that's what, just utilize this time to get that stuff done. It's only going to benefit you. It's definitely not going to hurt.
Absolutely. What would you say are the biggest mistakes people make when they're first starting out and determining how to use the paid advertising?
Yeah, people think that I could just throw money at the problem and I'm going to get leads, right? And listen, this happens for all sizes of businesses, right? We work with some smaller, entrepreneurials, solopreneurs, all the way to Fortune 500 businesses. And even the larger businesses say, hey, this is my budget. I don't care what you spend it on, just spend it. And we're like, that's kind of crazy. How do you know you're getting your return on investment? And and this is a crazy story. So we worked with a Fortune 500 company. They came to us and they gave us their budget, which is a very good sized budget. So I said, okay, well, let's get to your conversion goals. We just a brand new account. They gave us access to their analytics and we didn't see a single correct conversion goal. They had a conversion goal of people that had visited 6 pages or more. I'm like, well, what the hell does that mean, right? You don't know anything about whether that's a good visitor or not. They had no conversion tracking for contact forms, no conversion tracking on phone calls, for chat, for everything else. So I'm like, how can you manage your page budget, right, if you don't have the right foundation? So the first step, before you spend any money, make sure your website's good to go. You have the right conversion goals, analytics is set up correctly, right? And then we can kind of introduce paid ads. I would say that there's a lot of businesses, again, they have a budget because they've always had a budget, or they think they need to get $2,000, $3,000 more budget, but they don't know where to spend it, right? And depending upon your business vertical, is completely different. I could tell you for some verticals, Google's not going to work. It's not going to work. The cost per click is incredibly expensive. I could tell you in some legal verticals, you see these ads for asbestos, right, on the TV. I could tell you if you're an attorney, you want to bid on some of these keywords, it's over $100 per click. So if you say, hey, you have $1,000 per month I want to spend, I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna do Google. There's no way, because we have to convert an insane amount of people that click on those ads to get to your website, right? So it's also kind of like, okay, if this is what my budget is, where I can get the most relevant clicks to meet what my goal is. And that's really the most important thing. And a lot of times you're not going to know which avenue to go down. Is it Facebook, Instagram ads? Is it LinkedIn? LinkedIn's important too. Is it Google paid? Is it Amazon? Is it whatever? Until you kind of reallocate a little bit of budget across all and then see what the data tells you, then you just kind of tweak and refine, rinse and repeat.
Awesome. And I have one more question. If anybody else has one, feel free to jump in and throw it in the chat box and we'll get it answered as well. But how does your Radford Network still play a role in your world today?
That's a great question. So look, when I first got out of college, I got my first job because of my fraternity brother, right? So that's how I got my first job. I could tell you throughout my years, I probably have 2, 3, 4 clients that are fraternity brothers or referrals from fraternity brothers, right? So this kind of increases even larger. I could tell you now that I'm on weekly chat sessions, again, with guys I went to college with, fraternity brothers, etc. I'm pretty close with my network. I can also say that we used to have really good happy hours, right? Especially with the fraternity, they all get together. We try to do it like once a quarter. And that's a great way to kind of network. And that's a great way for people that are looking for jobs, go out, reach out to these people, say, hey, do you know anybody? Because even though I may not be hiring, I may know another buddy who is hiring, right? That's part of the network. And I'd much rather refer you because we went to the same school than somebody that, I don't know, they went to a different school, right? So stay involved as much as you can, especially with Radford. Look, most of the people I know that went to Radford, all of them are highly successful. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Some people say it's the whole social trait that we get at being at Radford. Fine, whatever, that's a great trade. Because I can tell you now, I know a lot of business owners and a lot of corporate executives right now that went to Radford. And again, use that towards your advantage. Go to these alumni events as much as you can. Reach out to alumni. See, hey, I'm looking for an unpaid internship. You'll be surprised at how many people say, you know what, I'll do that. Get your foot in the door that way. Just get involved and stay involved. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I have.
Awesome. So that's all the questions for now, unless somebody else pops up while I'm talking. I just want to say thank you, Michael, for this presentation today. I really enjoyed it, and I know everybody else has as well. I do want to give a quick plug. Next Friday at 9 a.m. we're going to do our next webinar. It's another yoga session. So come back, and Susie, you'll do some yoga from the beach and get our Friday started off nice. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Michael, again. And until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.